Hello friends, and welcome back to the Hole-Up Project. Today we have another super exciting episode in which we are going to try and feed this huge wire loom through the firewall so I can find a spot to put this computer here. In the meantime, I have to mock up the Vintage Air system seen here so I know where I can poke a hole through the firewall. I don't want to slam an enormous hole. I don't want to slam an enormous hole through the firewall just to find out that it's in the wrong place. And then I've got to weld it back up and grind it and put putty there and all the other things. But I have started with the fan motor hole there. I got that block off plate in there and welded up. And now we kind of have this plate here that Vintage Air sends with, and it's not a bad looking plate. It doesn't look near as good as this one here, but in an effort to save some time, I'm going to use this one. It's all pre-drilled and everything. I might even cut it into the firewall and make it flush there and make it look really nice, because what they're suggesting to do is just put some RTV behind this and then bolt it onto the firewall, and I don't particularly think that'll look that great. So this isn't going to be a real instructional video, it's just going to be more of a fun video. There will be some instruction, and it's a moving picture, so it will be a video, but not an instructional video per se. So let's go ahead and get this thing set up here, and you can watch me kind of fiddle around with this in the preliminary stages, and we will get to work. Okay, I'm going to say a couple of things right off the bat. I like a couple of things about this Vintage Air system. The bags are all nicely labeled. They put a little bit of effort into that, which is nice. They have a checklist so they know that you aren't missing any parts. And they send instructions with it. However, and I'm sure this is probably to save money, but the instructions are in black and white, and color could help quite a bit in this situation. My suggestion would be go ahead and send your packing list in black and white. That would be fine. If folks wanted a color option, they could go online and download a color PDF, because I'm sure at one time these pictures were taken in color, because we haven't had black and white since whenever the Wizard of Oz changed from black and white to color. So there's that. We will be working on the floor today. I vacuumed this rug because we're out of room on all of our other flat surfaces. So I'm not going to go through this step by step, but we will kind of update as we go along here. The very first step is to pull out this evaporator kit. They have everything labeled again. It's in bags, and we need to put these brackets on the back. It tells you to first mark the firewall and then pop a 5/8 inch hole through at the bottom. This, like I said again, the pictures are really up close, so it's kind of hard, especially in black and white, to tell where you're supposed to put that hole. But I'll take you inside there and I'll show you. The next step, they kind of walk through and they talk about how to lubricate the O-rings on the hoses, which is nice. Can't slam the O-rings in dry because, well, it just doesn't work that well. You could pinch an O-ring, cut one, nick one. You do all the different things here. So first thing we got to do is put these brackets on. And it says to use their, what is it, a number 10. Number 10 by 5/8 screw. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I'll bring you back on when the little brackets are put on. Okay, we got our 3 little plastic plugs in there, like they ask us to do. We're going to take this funky Comedina, and then it gets bolted right like so, I believe, according to the instructions. You get 2 bolts down here, 2 bolts up there at the top, and again, these are the number 10 by 5/8, and then we're just going to snug those down. Okay, now we got to find our number 10 suction hose here. I wanted to point out that the 10 by half screws are in the opposite bag that you think they are, so you have to dig those out. No big deal, just not in the bag that you would think they'd be in. Okay, let's get our number 10 suction hose here. Suction hose. You have to mark 1 inch from the end here. This is the one with the super tight bend. And then we're going to put this press tape on it, wrap it all around, and press it in tight. Well, here we are, Sunday morning, hole-up project. We're making a continuation from yesterday's video. And I wanted to show you a couple things here. First off, my list is getting shorter. That's a positive. And we're back at this Vintage Air system. So what they want to do is we're going to go ahead and glue this panel onto our firewall. But there's a couple things I want to talk about. These AC and heater lines that are all in one unit now here. These 2 are the heater core. These 2 are the AC lines. And they have you go through this process of putting a stud in here, right there, in that slotted hole. So what you're going to do here is slide that on there like so, line up that hole at the center, and then center those guys. And some of them need a little bit of tweaking, but that's expected. And then they tell you to go ahead and tighten up your things. Well, your fittings are all so close together down here that basically what you do is you get them set up here and you kind of feel it where you marked them at, and you tear everything back apart and you tighten up one at a time. That'll give you the best result. They also want you to take 9 bolts and a bead of silicone, kind of like 3 chords in the truth. And they want you to go ahead and fasten this plate to the firewall. Well, then you're going to have a ton of bolt heads sticking out everywhere. And you really only need this guy and this guy. Those are what hold your assembly to the firewall. The rest of them hold this plate to the firewall. So I'm going to go ahead and do little rosette welds on these circles here, these holes that I have ground away, and we're going to go at it that way. Maybe it'll make a cleaner look, and maybe it'll look like complete ass, but that's the way I think I'm going to do it. I don't know. Well, I'll keep you posted on the progress here. See you soon. Well, as Bob Dylan once said, plans, they are a-changin'. Let me show you what I mean by that. Remember when I said that I was going to go ahead and plug weld the firewall plate to the firewall? Well, I tried, and I kept on blowing through. And I think what the deal was is the RTV bead that they have you put behind this plate here was welding and pulling the impurities through the metal. I couldn't get it to weld for diddly. So here we are. I've got her bolted on and I've got her masked up. I'm gonna go ahead and spray that thing to match the body color. I'm gonna put a little bit of body filler here, get that sanded so it doesn't look as bad. That was kind of tough to do, especially for a below amateur. And then we'll go over here to the evaporator system. We've got our little diffusers put on with the S-clips. And let me tell you, the instructions are so close to the evaporator system itself that it's hard to tell what goes which way. But this one over here, this is your dash. You got left, center, and right. This one here is your defrost. And then on the back side, this is your floor vent here. Nice little package. Very nice little package. The only thing is that this tray here is your new glove box. So if you were thinking about, using it for storage other than a couple of sheets of paper like your license and registration, you're not going to get a whole lot out of it. So, whatever. It'll be what it'll be. These are your dash vents. These are your adapters for the center, for the diffuser. And this guy here is your center vent. So it's looking pretty good. We're coming along. I'm going to go ahead and spray some primer. Let that cure. I'm going to spread some mud and I am done for the day. I've had more than I care to handle. And my brother up there in the Northwest, he's also had a day, as they call it. So, and we're going to cut it. All right, here we are on a beautiful Memorial Day. Sun's shining, flags are behind me. Can't ask for anything better, and thank you to all the armed forces and the folks that are at rest. I've got a little progress to show today. We've got our Bondo work done. Don't look over here. I didn't realize there was a nice little ridge right here, and you can super see it. But anyway, look over here. Don't look over there. We've got the plate all in and painted. We're putting the grommets in. We're going to get these other grommets put in for the AC lines. This one here is for the wires. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll wait till the tractor goes by, Midwest things. But still loving that color. It looks great. Okay, so we've got our through-wall grommets here, and according to the instructions, the tits go inbound. This is the only one that's a double-sider here, so let's go ahead and put those in there, and then we'll move right along. This one here has to come out. That's where your stud goes through for alignment. But other than that, we're doing A-okay. Well, here we are, day 736 of the Vintage Air conditioning system install. We're still on step 1 through 20, but I'd like to show you what I got going on so far. You'll see in this area here, I have the, this is called Rattle Trap, but it's probably the same as the name brand Dynamat. Dynamat, I think, was one of the first companies that came out with this mess. It's an aluminum coated butyl rubber, and we've got that all the way up on the firewall because the Vintage Air kit does not come with a heat barrier, even though their instructions say that they recommend to put a heat barrier up. So that's what we did. Went ahead and got all that in there. The next thing is we're going to try and slide this evaporator housing up in here. I had it up in there once, and then I read the instructions, and they said to do the vapor barrier, so that's what we're going to do. Or, sorry, the heat barrier. I also wanted to point out one important thing that I'm really excited about, and it's that hole. And if you stay tuned to the end of this episode, I'll show you what that's all about. But for right now, let's go ahead and try and put that evaporator unit in. I don't know if I explained it before, but we've got the defrost ducts. We've got the left, center, right vent controls, and then the floor right there. So let's go ahead and tuck this up in here, and there is not enough room for you and me. So I'll do that real quick, and I'll bring you back. Woo! Woo-wee, let me tell you, that is always a struggle going in there. So we've got her tucked up in there. I've got a piece of, or a roll of masking tape holding in, and I'd like to show you why here. So let's go around the front and take a look. Hopefully that idiot on the Harley didn't cause too much problems. So here's your stud that they send with, so you can at least hold that in place. Now we need to take this stud out and replace it with one of these screws. Luckily I have a black one that can go there that I did not paint, so that'll be a key indicator. Also, this one here, they don't tell you in the instruction manifold, the instruction booklet, that you need to take the nut off of this guy. But that's what you need to do. So let's go around here, get ourselves another bolt, and we will hopefully have this thing mounted in position. Wow, look at this. It's in there in all of its glory. The instructions say that you can take the screws out of this to make it go up there easier. So our next step then is we got to take this bracket here, and before you do that, you put evaporator nuts. They call these well nuts. It's like a tube with a threaded insert in the back. Put one right there and right there. Then we can take and put this bracket up here. So I got to loosely put some nuts in there, or bolts, and those are 1/4-20 serrated 1-inch, just the same as we'd been using before. So that guy, we'll take and put him in there like so, and hope it is long enough, which it is not. Oh boy. Okay. Oh. We'll figure this out here in a second. So I've got a question for you YouTube viewers. How aggressively do you guys cheer at your kids' sporting events? I mean, do you go full, like, make sure the next county can hear you, or are you just more of a sit back and enjoy type of person? I mean, I'm 130 yards away from the ball diamond over there, and some of those parents, they just really get into it. Speaking of getting into it, look at this setup here. We've got our computer back on and mounted. We've got, what else do we have going on? I need to tighten up the bolts through the firewall. We've got the correct bolts in our bracket here. So let's slide that in. Maybe This is really difficult because these weld nuts want you to tighten them down, and they spin on the inside of the evaporator housing. Like, what purpose? What are we doing here? So I've got to go back through that mess, try and figure out a way to get it in. Because you can get one in, and then you can't get the other one, and then you can get the other one in, you can't get the first one in. If you put them in loose, yeah. Okay, so that bracket's up in there now. And I think what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to level the evaporator left and right, front to back, and then slam these bolts in here. Don't attempt this with one person. This is an absolute nightmare. Not to say that it's not going to be worth it, but it's a mess. It's a lot of work. But with great work comes great reward, or however that goes. Whew. Okay, so I promised you guys if you would hang with me, I'd show you what that hole there is for. I'm sure you probably already guessed it. I'm going to stick this wiring harness on through there. And I cut a 2-inch hole, and it's a little bit on the small side. So I opened it up about 1/8 of an inch using a burr. And I was going around the inside with the burr. It come flying out of there and went across my new paint job. So, casualty. Always not without casualty around here. So we'll feed this through. Ooh, okay. Now I've just got this bundle of wire to fire through there. And if my buddy Don's watching, you've always talked about your root canals and shit. The dentist this afternoon recommended that I get a root canal. However, I don't trust that dentist at all. So, we'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. Stuffing wire on through. Oh yeah. Huh. They all fit in there. I can't believe it. I'm going to go to that other side and pull them the rest of the way through. Alright. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh boy. I kind of knew this was going to happen. Got ourselves a rat's nest going on here. So I will say that the folks down at Current Performance did an excellent job on this harness. They made it extra long for me because I had no idea where I was going to put the computer. What in the hell is this? Well, this is for my fuel pump, ain't it? We got that wrapped around the axle. There we go. I just got to fish that grommet up there. But look at that. 400 feet of wire all tucked through the firewall. Boy, am I happy about that. That looks clean. Looks real clean now. I couldn't be happier, I don't think. Wow, what a journey. That evaporator install was kind of fun. Huge pain in the butt, but I mean, first time doing it, not knowing everything, you just kind of got to find your own groove there. So the only thing we have left to complete that evaporator is to pop the hose through the firewall. And honestly, I think we all know how to put a hose in a hole. So I'm just going to leave that up to the folks who watch this thing. I'm going to break this AC install into a couple of sections. If you made it through this one, I'm going to do the evaporator, then I'm going to do under the hood stuff like the condenser and the receiver dryer, and then we'll do wiring for the last part. So hopefully we get all this taken care of. Oh, we also have to mount the air conditioner compressor too. So we'll go through that in part 2. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too terribly long or boring for you. I've been trying to be more excitable. I'm just not that kind of person. So let's kind of make it through this whole thing, and hopefully we can put some miles on this thing by the end of the summer. I think we all deserve that. This is Matt signing off for the Hold Project. Thanks for watching. See you next Friday.